Record of Ragnarok Round 10, Okita Tsuji vs Susanoo, officially began close to 5 months ago now, and many people in the fandom are considering the fight boring and even losing interest in the series. Why is this? I'll be explaining that alongside breaking down the fight so far. Before though, we have some good news. So the new Record of Ragnarok side manga that's going to be a god focused tournament is confirmed to be starting this month on the 25th with 80 pages as revealed by the artist of this side manga here, releasing alongside this month's regular chapter in a few days. Very exciting stuff that I broke down in this video. But now to begin, during the climax of the most recent chapter, we got some very promising stuff pointing towards the fight amping up quite a bit finally. Susanoo unleashing the true extent of his power, and with this we got the almighty swing, forcing Okita to amp himself further with his increased blood flow, becoming even more like a demon, perhaps his true form, known as the Sword Demon of Truth revealed in this amazing final panel, which to me is highlighting the transition into the next stage of the fight. However, it is also possible that this page could lead into the next chapter, focusing mostly on Okita Tsuji's flashback, something we've gotten hints about previously, but not a full chapter dedicated to. And if we look back to every other character and fight we've had in the series, every single one of them get either a full chapter, 2 chapters, or a big portion of a chapter dedicated to a flashback. Okita has yet to receive that, meaning that could be what's coming next, once again cutting the pace. For example, chapter 86 had the beginning of the fight technically, the walkout for both fighters, some lore drops about Susanoo, the introduction of the other Shinsengumi, and some goofing around on Susanoo's part, no real clash beginning. Chapter 87 had the first few clashes, with Okita showing some domination and breaking the case of Susanoo's sword, who still was goofing around at this stage, getting some insight for Okita's ability, more lore drops about Susanoo in regards to his sword, the combined effort of humans and gods, alongside his stance coming out, leaving everyone stunned, resulting in many to think we're finally getting into the main part of the fight. But no, most of chapter 88 was us cutting back to the whole Odin, Buddha and Beelzebub situation, something which honestly was far more interesting than the fight itself. It initially began before the walkout of Okita and Susanoo, marking the start of round 10, resulting in many people in the fandom to be more focused on what's going on here and discussing it months later, even during the middle of the Okita and Tsuji fight, wanting to get an update. And when we got that update, it once again took everything away from round 10, learning about the primordial gods, the Giga Chad 4 stopping the fight, the arrival of Kintoki, pretty much peak Record of Ragnarok for many people, and I feel the same. Once we got the panel dropped of Beelzebub exposing Odin and Odin wanting to kill him and Buddha, that's all I could talk about and want to see in the up and coming chapters, not really being interested in the start of the Okita and Susanoo fight for the most part. And then once again, when Susanoo vs Okita started getting interesting, we cut back to the more engaging situation, taking away from that fight, and once again being the only thing people in the fandom wanted to talk about. And this is something that requires me to bring up the anime and actually give it a little bit of praise. Initially when I read the Shiva vs Raiden fight, I wasn't really much of a fan. Similar to this situation, being far more interested in the Buddha and Loki stuff occurring in the middle of the fight. We had the introduction of Buddha, we had the introduction of the lucky gods, Loki was revealing more stuff, we had Zeus and Odin coming in, alongside even Okita and Sasaki having some cool moments. It was a very hyped time, something that once again took away from the current Record of Ragnarok fight, at least in the manga version. The anime adaptation decided to have the whole Buddha and Loki stuff before the official beginning of round 4, meaning we could experience that side part of the story and then get into round 4 and solely focus on that for the remaining episodes, not cutting the pace of the fight at all. So hopefully when the anime does get up to this point, they have the whole crazy stuff between Odin and Buddha occur, and then they get into round 10. something I believe makes the fights better, and that's why I prefer the anime version of Shiva vs Raiden. But coming back to this fight, at the end of chapter 88, we did get some cool clashes between Okita and Susanoo, but again we learned that Susanoo isn't really giving the fight everything he has, getting dominated by the Demon Boy again, which finishes with the first major slash landing. Chapter 89 was then Susanoo's main flashback, learning about how he's different to really every other god, something I really enjoyed, which I explained in this entire video. But again, the pacing of the fight was slowed, continuing with the cutback to this stance, and then chapter 90. A very good chapter that's highlighting Susanoo's strength with actual showings, not just various statements or lore dropped about him. He's actually doing stuff in the fight and showing some domination over Okita. And then the badass climax of Okita amping himself up, both fighters now being ready to give it all. However, even this chapter has an issue. The art was amazing, yes, the clashes were pretty badass, but the chapter was incredibly short, especially compared to pretty much every other Record of Ragnarok chapter, and the fact that it's a monthly series, a key aspect that would result in people losing interest. And honestly, out of all the fights so far, this may be the one where you are required to really binge read it to get the full effect. We'll have to wait for the conclusion, which according to some rumors is actually coming soon. There's nothing official, but some of the leakers have claimed that the fight is ending next month with a double chapter or something along the lines of that. Nothing official, but we'll find out in a few days, I guess, and I hope not. They'll definitely leave this fight in a pretty boring state. Even if the final two chapters are absolutely amazing, we definitely need much more from both fighters. Now let's find out what the goons in the Discord server think. The round has been mediocre so far, they need to add actual fighting. Fight feels balanced, we need to see Okita's volumed, I definitely agree with that. Out of all the fights so far, this is the longest we've had to wait since the official start for a volumed reveal, and it's possible we couldn't even get it in this month's chapter. It's been great, a little slow pace, but I feel like we're getting more to the fight. Yep, agree. The stage change is cool, a lot of chatting, besides that it's been alright, pretty much the same. There is a lot of cuts to Sasaki and some of the other characters just glazing both fighters, which at first was pretty cool, but after we see it chapter after chapter, it does get a bit too much. I'm just sad Susanoo literally can't win, a key aspect that has led many people to not really enjoying this fight, as most people in the fandom are assuming Okita's going to win for the sake of the narrative moving forward and even potential author bias. That's why you need to be the subversion of expectations, GigaChad, Sandovich, and make the fight a draw, please. Top 5 fights so far, and the theme is the greatest. The fight is overhated and Tsuji lives up to the hype. Fight has been mid with no real hype. Okita vs Susanoo is honestly a middle of the road fight. Susanoo's cool and alright, but I feel basically nothing for it. Therefore, it's pretty clear that round 10 isn't held in high regard for many people in the fandom currently. You could say this connects to the previous round with a lot of people being disappointed in Leonidas, one of the most anticipated fighters that didn't really live up to anyone's wants in the early stages of the series. And the fight as a whole not being the best, it wasn't bad. I don't think any fight in Record of Ragnarok is bad, including this one so far. It's just that many of the others are far better. The climax of round 9 was absolutely amazing, but outside of that it was average compared to the others, and so far I would say round 10 has been the same. It has potential to amp up in the coming chapters, we'll have to wait and see. Shout out to these members, the absolute mad lads. You can get 10% off anything from Gamersupps using the link in the description, code MWEEB. Thanks for watching, that's it guys, peace.